Jen, it would be really great if you could talk a little bit about play and the expectations on play, because I know that for a lot of us, it can feel like a lot and it can feel like we need to guide play all the time, and sometimes we don't have time to do that.
I think as modern parents, we're feeling so pressured to do everything for our kids, not just how we feed them and how we sleep them, but also how we play with them. And I think when we realise that it's so much simpler than what you think, and it can just be tiny moments in the everyday.
This is so hard because we put so much pressure on milestones of learning the ABC or being able to count or what are the colours, but actually what we also could be doing is looking more at the skills that we can diversify and integrate into so many other things. We're almost creating these little splinter skills as opposed to being able to say, oh look, it's a B for Banksy.
Often we're trying to lead the play, guide the play, maybe teach the ABCs. But if we stop and watch what they're doing and then commentate out loud about what you see. If Banksy turned around and cued his mum in, then she might go, oh yeah, you're putting the little bear in his bed. So you can talk out loud, but you're waiting for that cue in from your child. And that's the really important bit, is looking for those cues and slowing down a little bit.
I do find I am narrating, like breastfeeding up on the couch, watching him. And with him knowing that I'm in the room or close by, he's fine. And I hear him chatting away, and every now and again he'll want to include me.
And do you sometimes find that what he's talking about in that play that he's doing independently is playing out themes that have happened in your life?
The things Remy says back to me, I'm like, Remy was listening when we were talking about that.
I find there's so much on the internet today as well, and so much pressure, like you said. Do it this way, oh, you better not say this in front of... And it's like, I
remember first time mum with Remy, and our neighbour has a son similar age, and he came over and was like, blue, green, like pointing out, and I'm like, and he was saying so much, and I'm like to my friend, I'm like, Remy's nowhere near, and I'm comparing, and he's a month younger, so I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what shows is he watching? What shows should he not be watching? What should I be doing at home? Like,
and that comparison is so
it really
hard.
got in my head.
And also, kids are going to develop different skills at different times. And so while his language might not have been there, his spatial skills might have been so much further ahead, and that's what he was working on.
Obviously, you guys are identical twins. What does routine look like with your own kids? Do you have a similar style or...?
I've got very routine kids from 6 months old. Blackout blinds, white noise, sleep suits, in bed at 7 o'clock. I won't hear from her till like 9 o'clock, and she'll be like, Banks has only just gone to bed. Sorry, just saw your message.
So Danielle, obviously having Remy's 7 months older than Banks, so she was like telling me all these things that she's done and what to do.
So I think routines are so helpful because it helps organise what to anticipate as parents and for kids. So if they know what's coming, it's less of this emotion of where's the day going, what's expected of me. Routines help us know what the expectations are on us, and that helps us to regulate a lot of the time and helps us put into place what's expected of me.
Oh, I love seeing them play with the routines in the playroom. I think something like this is a great example of visual cues. Are they important?
Completely. So even this little kitten with the knife and fork, you know, a really fun way to use play in terms of your routine. Just say dinner time or bath time is a really important part of that routine. You're able to use play to make it more fun. So you might say, you know, this little kitten, he's not sure about what's for dinner. I wonder if you could help him. And then our child gets engaged in that narrative and that play, and they're going to come to the table with a bit more fun around it.
We can do a visual schedule with the bricks. So you could have, you know, the kitchen with the food, and then you could have the bear in the bed and say, first it's dinner, then it's bed. And when dinner's done, you could take it apart or you could flip it down, and it just gives a nice visual prompt of what's coming next.
And the difference these visuals make for our kids in terms of processing that routine is that it gives them the chance to just process that information, because they're taking in so few of our words, but they take in more of those visual cues.
And you could always put the bricks in the bath with them to play and then see what's happening next. Okay, bath's finished. Now let's build our bed one because it's time to come out and go to bed.
Speaking of routines, I'm going to have to take these kitties to bed.
Well, isn't that just typical of kids? You can't schedule anything. You look like you could go to sleep too.
I think sometimes it's so, as we can see, the transition states are so hard. So, you know, it could be something like, oh, Banksy, Bear's going to bed. It's time for him. Do you want to take Bear to bed? And time for Banksy for bed, right? And having a visual sometimes can help between those transitions they really don't want to have to do.
I completely agree with that. And I think what it also does is just help them with emotional regulation. So we know those transitions are hard because they're having to separate from their parents to go to bed for, if we're lucky, up to 12 hours. And so having that visual prep helps that emotional separation go a little bit better as well.